This video was brought to you by Plain and Simple Chocolate Tea from Off Grid with Doug and Stacy.
The weather outside is frightful. A cup of chocolate tea is so delightful.
Made from the husks of roasted cacao beans, it has a chocolatey aroma, yet tastes like an herbal tea. This beverage is rich in mood-enhancing theobromine, the perfect replacement or addition to your morning cup of coffee. You can find it at offgridwithdougandstacy.com.
Plain and simple chocolate tea makes me happy.
Now back to the video.
Hi, and welcome back to the homestead. So glad you guys are here, and we're going to start right off, and I have a trivia question for you. What popular, very popular condiment was used in the 1800s as medicine? Pause the video and leave a comment below right now. Well, did you guys get it? It's ketchup. Back in the 1800s, a doctor in Ohio used it to help cure if you had indigestion. They even used it for cholera, I was reading. So it's pretty interesting that a condiment that we use on almost everything here in the United States was used as medicine. You know, we know of ketchup here in the United States because people use it on almost everything. But it initially wasn't used using tomatoes. It dates way back, thousands of years, to ancient China, and it was a fish sauce that the European settlers brought back, and then they tried to mimic it. They would try to using berries and mushrooms and everything else, and it just never was quite right. And I think from there, we started putting tomatoes to it. And so that's what happened, and now we have what we call it, which is ketchup. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be making homemade ketchup that everybody will love. People rave about my ketchup all the time. My grandkids, kids that come over, they're like, this is the best ketchup I've ever had because it is so easy to make and it tastes wonderful. Everyone will adore it. Everyone that's come over here loves it. And then people are like, can you make me some? And I've even given some as presents to people. So it's so simple and easy to make, and it's very inexpensive to make. So let's get ready and I'll show you how to do it. For this recipe, you will need 2 cans of organic tomato paste, ground cloves, ground cayenne powder, ground cinnamon, unrefined salt, raw honey, apple cider vinegar, raw apple cider vinegar, some filtered water, and either the juice from some kombucha or some fermented vegetable like sauerkraut. This ketchup is a fermented ketchup. So some people might be like, ooh, I don't like fermented foods, but you will like this because you'll have no idea it's fermented at all. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna mix all these things together, and it's something for a lot of you guys that maybe are afraid to start fermenting. This could be your gateway ferment. This is so simple and easy, and it's good for every person. I mean, anybody who likes ketchup will like this. All right, so all you're gonna need is your 2 cans of your tomato paste. You're gonna put them in your bowl. Good old tomato paste. All right, so once that's done, I'm going to put in my seasoning or my spices. So you need 1/8 of a teaspoon of all of these. The cayenne pepper. Now don't freak out about the cayenne because you won't really taste it. It'll just give it a little bit of a zing. I would not put this in because I think it really makes a big difference. So I would definitely leave the cayenne pepper, even for kids. They won't know. I mean, my grandkids love it. Other kids that have tasted it, you can't tell. Then you want 1/8 of a teaspoon of your cloves, ground cloves. And the last one is 1/8 of a teaspoon of your cinnamon. And then you're gonna need about 1/2 of a cup of raw apple cider vinegar. So here's my apple cider vinegar, put it in there. All right, then the next thing you're gonna need is some honey because we have to sweeten it up. We're not using high fructose corn syrup, we're using raw honey. You could use maple syrup too, raw or actual maple syrup. So I'm going to put about 4 or 5 tablespoons in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what makes it good. And now I'm going to put a couple teaspoons of unrefined salt. Salt does go very good with tomato-based products there. And then here's my key ingredient. I need to put something to help culture it. So I like to use the juice from my fermented vegetables. So I'm going to use a couple tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of my sauerkraut juice. Don't want to get the sauerkraut in there. There you go. So the recipe that I'm doing now is 2 tablespoons of an existing brine with a half a cup of apple cider vinegar, or you can use some old kombucha you got sitting around that tastes very vinegary, and you might use a cup or a little less than a cup, and you can put that in place of it too. Okay, the good thing about this recipe, you're gonna stir it up, you're gonna taste it and tweak it. If you don't like it, you're gonna fix it. All right, so I'm gonna mix this up right now. And the last thing I'm gonna add to this is some water, because I need to kind of thin it out a little bit more. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water, and then you guys are gonna decide what consistency you like the best. Anticipation. Who remembers that commercial? Anticipation. Leave a comment below. Who sang that? It'll show your age. You know that commercial. Okay, so it looks pretty good, doesn't it? This is a nice consistency. And now all you're gonna need to do, got a little ketchup on me, is put it in your container. See, I like things that are easy and quick. So when I'm over here and I'm out of ketchup and my grandkids are like, I want ketchup. How easy was this to make? So all I'm gonna do is put it in the jar. All you're gonna need is your mason jar top, like so. It tastes great. Then you're gonna put your lid on top. And as you can see on this one, I made this with my granddaughter, so we put her name on it. It's so important to get those kids in the kitchen with you guys. It really makes a difference because they do have ownership of what they're doing, and then it means more when they're eating it. I think my Sharpie's running out. You guys know how it got its name, Ketchup? And there's a difference, you know, sometimes you see ketchup with a K and ketchup with a C. I guess Heinz, you know, heard about Heinz ketchup. He wanted to be different than the other ones because I think everyone used to spell it with a C, the C-A-T-S-U-P, Catsup. So he just made it with a K so he would distinguish himself and make him different than everybody else. And that's how it got the name. Because when I was a little girl, I always thought, what's the difference between catsup and ketchup? And there really isn't anything. So just a little marketing. So this is all you gotta do, and you have your ketchup. You're gonna let it set out for 3 days. Just put it somewhere in your house. Just don't put it in direct sunlight, and let it set for 3 days as it kind of builds up all the flavoring and it cultures a little bit. And then you're gonna put it in cold storage, either in your root cellar, someplace cool, or in your refrigerator, and you can enjoy it for months and months and months. It lasts a long, long time if you don't use it up. So ketchup is something that a lot of people use. You can find it in the stores, but just like anything else, you start with something with good ingredients, and then you change it up and make it into bad ingredients through all this, you know, high processing of things. So there's a lot of high fructose corn syrup in our ketchup, which is not good. It's highly, highly processed. Now the other thing that they have in ketchup are natural flavors. Now natural flavors sounds good. It's natural, right? But natural flavors can be grouped under a bunch of things like MSG, monosodium glutamate, yeast extract, hydrolyzed yeast proteins. So all those different things that you see like that, and those are excitotoxins, which are not good for the body. They're not a good additive to help trick your brain into things tasting good. So those are things you want to stay away from. So this is a simple one. It tastes amazing, and anybody can do it. So this can be your gateway ferment for a lot of you guys that are wanting to get started, but you haven't got started. And this way you can add a little ferment to some of your sandwiches. All right, I want you guys to leave a comment below if you have tried this or if you're gonna do it. I want to hear from you. All right, cheers, good health to you guys, and eating your ketchup. All right, I'll see you later.